Barakallahu Hao, Barakallahu Shai, Barakallahu Hao, Barakallahu Shai, Barakallahu Hao, Barakallahu Shai, Rakah Quadash. Give all praise to Yahweh, Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba Hashem, Rakah Quadash. Double honors to my elders and apostles out there that taught us the truth. Peace and blessings to the Akim out there that's pushing this truth day in and day out, or at least once a week. Well, once a week ain't it, so at least 3 times a week, you know? 7 days in a week. We should at least be able to do 3 videos a week. This is part 2 of Israel, Remember Yourselves. If you watched my last video, you already know what's going on. I'm going to start at Tudor Parfit, professor of modern Jewish studies. He wrote a book called Black Jews in Africa and the Americas. If you go to page 111, it reads this. There are both oral and written explanations that trace the origin of the Igbo tribe, and the most tantalizing is the accusation of the Igbo to the Hebrew race. This assumption is based on the fact that the Igbo culture has many similar tradition customs like that of the Jews. Similar customs are observed in marriage negotiations, childbirth, and circumcision, restitution, attitude towards totem animals, and taboos, as well as hospitality to others, especially to strangers, etc. When it says stranger, it's like when someone got on your land, we acted a certain way to those people. It could be very hostile, or depending if you were our brother, then, you know, it was all peace. The Igbo are therefore said to be the split and lost group of tribe of Israel that refused to wander further northeast with Moses, but preferred going down southward. Alright, you have this guy named Mark Avram Elrich, professor of Judaic Studies. He wrote the book Encyclopedia of the Jewish Diaspora, Origins, Experiences, and Culture. Volume 1, page 494 reads this. The Igbo people have many Jewish traditions. There's this dude called Naomi Katz, the current Israeli ambassador in Nigeria, and others point in their possible ancient Israelite origins. So Naomi Katz and other people were people who were basically were studying the people, the Igbo, and realizing that these dudes, they do damn near everything that the Hebrews do. The scholars did extensive research and found out that the traditions of the Igbo tribe and the traditions of the biblical Israelites were very, very, very similar. The only way these people could be practicing the Hebrew faith this close was if they were the Jews themselves. You may be wondering, what is the significance of the Igbo tribe to the Negroes in America? Well, here it is. The Igbo tribe was the main sought-out tribe that was captured and sold in the transatlantic slave trade. So, boom. The reason we get into the studies of the Igbo is because the Igbo were, heavily sold throughout our slavery. Professor David Richardson wrote a book called Atlas of the Transatlantic Slave Trade. If you go to page 127, it reads this. The British were the major buyers before they banned their own slave traffic in 1807. They were replaced by the Portuguese and Spanish for as long as the traffic continued here. The majority of the captives were speakers of the Igbo dialect. Slovakia. I wrote it weird. It's speakers of the Igbo dialect. The Europeans, which are the Romans, went conquering after 70 AD and hid themselves under different nationalities. They hid themselves under the French, British, Portuguese, after they destroyed the native people who lived in those areas. It's not a coincidence that history matches up perfectly with the Bible prophecy. They push a doctrine on you at church saying it does not matter, or we're all God's people, which that's a damn lie. Only the Israelites can be saved because we're the only ones given the law. The Gentiles weren't given the law, so how can they be saved? If the so-called Negroes knew who they were, they'd take over at a fast rate, because if they knew that they were God's, Yahweh's chosen, they would begin to turn away from ignorance and start educating each other until they were all one accord. Well, I just wrote that out of just, really out of inspiration, even though that would never happen. What I just read would never happen, because prophecies already read. Only 2/3 of Israel is going to be cut off because we are stiff-necked people. A lot of Israel ain't going to take heed of this word. A lot of you Israelites going to take that mark of the beast, that RFID chip, or that V that's coming out. We know the V is going to come out before the RFID chip. Hosea 4:6, KJV. My people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt know priest to me. Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy God Yahweh, I will also forget thy children. I used to have a teacher called Miss McPherson. One thing she used to tell us black people is to know where you are going, you have to know where you've been. I thought I wrote that in here because I really thought that was important. It's like if the first thing you should be knowing when you get into this truth is knowing you're Israelite, and someone should be breaking down how the Bible and history matches up together, because the Bible is our history book. Isaiah 14:1. For the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Now do you see why they don't put this in the black history lessons? Why they always start with the 1600s? You do research past the 1600s, and you find out that you descend from, a lot of you descend from the Igbo tribe, who in fact are the real Jews. You aren't supposed to know this information. They're supposed to keep renaming you to keep the confusion in your mind. First we were called Negroes, then we were called colored. Now African Americans is called a byword. That was one of the curses. We should be called a byword. You have to be asking yourself, if we are the chosen people of God, Yahweh, why does he continue to allow us to fall into slavery after slavery? Why does he have you build up everyone's kingdom off the backs of your slave labor? Exodus 24:7. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt show this people all these words, and they shall say unto thee, wherefore hath the Lord Yahweh pronounced all this great evil against us? Or what is our iniquity? Or what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord Yahweh our God? Then shalt thou say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me, saith the Lord Yahweh, and have walked after other gods, and have served them, and we worship them, and have forsaken me, and have not kept my law. So the reason you are in these captivities is because we kept falling away from the law. We kept wanting to be like other nations. We need to come back to our power, Yahweh, and reverence his son, Yahweh Shai, the one who died for us, just so we can have, the possibility of becoming the elect. What you will come to realize is when Moses brought us out of Egypt, which was captivity, we entered into the wilderness. We entered into a blood in, blood out covenant with the Most High God, Yahweh. He kept the end of the bargain that he promised, that he proposed to us, but we never kept ours. Let me read that again, because I hate, confusion. What you will come to realize is when Moses brought us out of Egypt captivity, we entered into the wilderness. We entered into a blood in, blood out covenant with the Most High God Yahweh. He kept the end of the bargain that he proposed to us, but we never kept ours. Jeremiah 16:10. And he took the book of the covenant and read in the audience of the people, and they said, all that the Lord Yahweh has said we will do, and be obedient. Exodus. So what you just read is our fathers said that we'll take both sides of the sword. Meaning, if we do the commandments, we'll be above all nation. If we don't do the commandments, we'll accept those curses. Exodus 24:78. And Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people, and said, Behold, the blood of the covenant which the Lord Yahweh hath made with you concerning all these words. Once Moses sprinkled the blood on you, there was no way out of it. You were in a blood in, blood out. It's just like you got to see it through now that the blood's on you. Deuteronomy 28 verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the Lord Yahweh, Slakia. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God Yahweh, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord Yahweh thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. We're all equal. High above all nations of the earth. We're all the same. High above all nations of the earth. And the Gentiles and the Jews are, both loved by God the same. On high above all nations of the earth. So stop saying we're equal. We're not equal. I mean, it says it right there. I'll reread it for the ones in the back. Deuteronomy 28:1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, if we keep the commandments, to observe to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God Yahweh will set thee on high above all nations above all nations of the earth. I almost said on the earth, of the earth, which same thing, but I like to read it, right. Deuteronomy 28:2. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God Yahweh. See, if you would have kept your side of the covenant, the Most High Yahweh was going to set Israel above all nations on the planet Earth. But, I told you it's a two-edged sword. There's good and there's bad. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God Yahweh, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And that's what happened. We basically fell from the word and wanted to be like other nations. We envied them so heavy. Just wanted their gods and all, like, wicked as fuck, bro. Deuteronomy 28:32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. That's slavery. Your sons and daughters being sold into slavery, but you have no power to, do anything about it. Let's break it down. When a slave woman has kids, she doesn't get to keep them, so that practically explains the part that says thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, which is the white man. But before that, I already read in the other video, I read you all the captivities we were in. I mean, same thing happened. Deuteronomy 28:41. Thou shalt begat sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Deuteronomy 28:43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Does it ever occur to you why the fuck that if you go into the prosperous neighborhoods, it's filled with nothing but whites, aka Edomites? But when you go to the projects, it's filled with a lot of us, right? That's a curse. Let me read it again. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The stranger that is within, this is Deuteronomy 28:43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. I mean, after captivity, and all you niggas want is a big house and a Lamborghini. You niggas are fucking destroyed, bro. And the funny thing is, it's easy for the white man. If you look at the millionaires in America, majority of the millionaires are white. It's easy for the white man to gain these things because this is his world. White privilege, I mean, that's the real thing. Just how there's Jew privilege amongst us Jews. I mean, there's stuff we would do for each other that we would never do for a Gentile. Deuteronomy 28:15. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearken not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, Yahweh, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. Alright, and this is Deuteronomy 28:46. And thou shalt be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Deuteronomy 28. I'm gonna break that down. Thou shalt be upon the sign for, and thou shalt be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Just imagine you being the greatest nation on earth, and now you're literally the lowest. There's some countries where a dog has more respect. I mean, is respected more than a black man. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. From gods to men, man. That's one reason. You're gods, but ye shall die like men. Come on, man. Deuteronomy 28:47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God Yahweh with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until we have been destroyed. Let me break that down. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, going into captivity, which the Lord Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. When you're hungry, don't you have to go to a store? Which is owned by what? The white race. Or if you go to a corner store, a lot of these Arabs, I guess they're called Assyrians. I'm trying to think of their biblical name. Damn. Salakia, I just had it on my head. Father of the fucking Arabs, the Assyrians. Lord willing, it comes back to me. It escaped my head. But if you're hungry, you gotta go to a store. You have to depend on the white man to have these things shipped in. And nakedness, if you want clothes. A lot of you niggas chase what? Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Prada, all these, all these high brands owned by white people. And y'all willing to pay the highest dollars. And it's crazy. You got a lot of white people. There's more white people who don't even buy this stuff because, they're more worried about their business and stuff. As such, black people love a lot of us are destroyed where we just want to show out. We just want to shit on the next person, saying, yeah, I got a $600 fit. Those are the same people who will ask a person like me who's just wearing fringes and just, chilling for some money because you don't spend all your money trying to impress the world. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have been destroyed. I'm going to show you what that yoke of iron is. How much time? Alright, we're going on 18 minutes. We got about 11 minutes. Go on Google, yoke of iron. Go to images. What do you see? Nothing but black people chained up. That yoke of iron is... This is what really it is. You see that thing around his neck? What that did is it helped slow the slaves down until the dogs could catch up with them. It would hang up on fences. It would hang him up on, it would basically drag on leaves and sticks and branches to yank him back. So them dogs have more leverage to, catch up. And when have you been destroyed? When you were destroyed, because it says that we'll have the yoke of iron on our neck until we've been destroyed. When destroyed is when, destroyed, what it's talking about is you getting all your knowledge whipped out of you. When your name, your heritage, everything was whipped out of you. So when the yoke of iron gets taken off, we were destroyed. When did that happen? In 1863, when Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, that's when the yokes of iron came off, but by that time our history had been beat out of us. Hence to the movie Roots, when I forgot his name, Kunta, was getting whipped and they were trying to force their name to bias on him. The reason they didn't want him to use his birth name and remember his birth name is because our names, like mine is Wana Ra or Wawa Nan Rash, which means great descendants brought together. Well, stuff like that wouldn't pass when we were in slavery for the fact that, my name tells a story about our people, great descendants brought together. Who are those great descendants? The Israelites. Wana Ra. Deuteronomy 28:54. So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate his eyes shall be evil towards his brother and towards the wife of his bosom and towards the remnant of his children which he shall lead. It's just us being under constant depression, constant, being furious. One thing that reminds me when I read this is when the slave master used to, like, say there were two Israelite men that were two slaves, or two Israelite slaves who basically the slave master could tell that they were, even though they weren't brothers, like actual brothers, they loved each other. They had brotherly love. What the slave master would do is he would find one of those men's wife and make the other one fuck that other man's wife in front of him, just so he would have hate towards, his brother, just to cause, just us going against each other. About to sneeze. Slovakia. You want to know why there's black on black crime? You didn't keep your part of the covenant. You want to know why the black man always leaves the woman and child? You didn't keep your part of the covenant. Deuteronomy 28:61. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in this book of this law, then will the Lord Yahweh bring upon thee, Israel, until thou be destroyed. Why are we number one on the chart of HIV? We didn't keep our side of the covenant. Why are we number one for blood pressure being high? We didn't keep our side of the covenant. Why are we number one for high cardiovascular disease? Because we didn't keep our side of the covenant. Why are we number one in diabetes? We didn't keep our part of the covenant. Why are we number one on so many negative effects across the board? Because we didn't keep our side of the covenant. Deuteronomy 28:64. And the Lord Yahweh shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. I like the whole wood part because what you see a lot of brothers do these days, they be having that little cross on their neck, which the cross is symbolism for war. It's a symbolic for, basically, this is how destroyed our people are. We know that Yahushua, the one people ignorantly called Jesus, was hung on a cross, right? So we're going to use that same instrument and just hold it around us. That's just as bad. That's damn near as bad as motherfucking you being a Native American. Fuck it, you being an Israelite, because the Native Americans, the Gadites, are our brothers. We know that over 7.7 million of Native American Gadites were slaughtered, and then these Europeans had us doing Thanksgiving, and you niggas still celebrate Thanksgiving. That's destroyed right there. Deuteronomy 28:65-68. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord Yahweh shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall not have none insurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were even, and at even thou shalt say, would Yahweh it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt. Egypt means captivity. Except he said, this time your ass going in with ships. And the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. We know that if we were in Africa, especially if we were on the west coast of Africa where we fled to, we wouldn't need a fucking ship to get to Egypt. You can look it up. Egypt means bondage. You can look that up. So all it meant is we're not going to actual Egypt. We're going into America. Except this time, how did we get to America? In fucking ships. They packed us up like sardines. You had fucking Israelite women on their period, bleeding on top of each other. You just had people shitting and pissing on each other because we're just packed on top of each other. We had to sit through that. Everyone who complained, or if we rioted, what they do? They chained us up and threw like fucking 20 of us off the ship at one time. We're about to be coming to our stopping part. Thou shalt see it. Alright. The sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see, and the Lord Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way, wherefore I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more. The land of Israel will never be able to go back to it and own it no more until the Lord gets back. Yahweh shall. It no more again, and thee ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. It's the same thing right now. A lot of you niggas think y'all are free, but y'all niggas are still captives. Can you go to Israel and get your own shit? Or even when really what America did is they bonded everybody up, every nation up, and that's basically why you don't own your house. You got to pay property tax. You don't own your car. You still gotta, what's that? Those little recurring bills for car insurance and shit like that. I mean, come on now, this shit's wicked. Let me see. School system don't even teach you about yourself. That's still that's mental captivity. It went from physical slavery to mental slavery, and the mental seems like it's worse. I mean, at least when we were, captured by the Assyrians, they still let us know we were Israelites. I mean, shit's wicked, bro. Yahweh says, no man shall buy you. Back in the slavery days, in the biblical days, you will be able to buy or redeem a slave by payment, but Yahweh says no man will be able to redeem you out of this slavery. This last Egypt I bring you to, nobody will or can get you out of it. Slakia. Marcus Garvey tried to get us out of it, didn't work. Martin Luther King tried to get us out of it, it didn't work. Malcolm X tried to get us out of it, it didn't work. Louis Farrakhan tried to get us out of it, didn't work. Why? Because we are still breaking the commandments. I don't know. You can Google what happened to Black Wall Street. Remember what happened to blacks when we started trying to have nothing but black businesses, and we only bought black and stuff like that. We kept money rotating just with the blacks. What they do? They burnt that shit down, and that was on U.S. soil. You niggas keep trying to find salvation and money and reciprocity. That shit ain't gonna happen. All right, we're running out of time, so tomorrow I'm gonna start with the next lesson. So I hope that y'all were edified. Meditate on the first video and the second video, and for now I say shalom. Well, Braklayah Shai, shalom.